We are all set to start.
Good evening. Welcome to this month's Speak to Council session. As a reminder, all speakers have 3 minutes for their comments. If speakers are participating via Zoom, we ask that they address council with the same respect they would expect and to avoid the use of profanities. A staff member will notify speakers when they have 30 seconds left, and speakers will be removed from the Zoom call once their time has expired. Staff members will read the first 3 minutes of all written comments submitted. I would like to remind participants our participants and those watching online that my colleagues and I are here to listen to comments presented before us tonight, and as such, it is standard that we do not respond during this session. Participants' contact information has been shared with the council, and I encourage my colleagues to follow up with any comments or concerns that pique their interest. If you are participating on Zoom and watching a live stream on YouTube while you are waiting to join the meeting, please remember to mute all additional devices that live stream before entering the Zoom meeting, or you will hear a confusing echo of yourself. We will now begin our Speak to Council session.
Alex Work.
Hello, I'm the building owner at 682 through 686 Winton Road and a former neighbor on Woodstock Road. I am, in general, very supportive of this zoning change. I think it fits the neighborhood, supports local business, and is exactly the kind of bold interpretation we need for the 2034 plan. There is one area that I think needs careful attention and consideration. That area is stormwater mitigation. I bring this up during a zoning review consideration because while this project does not present any of the major conflicts with spot zoning, it does touch on one interpretation of that definition. The interpretation is that a project does not create a detriment to neighboring properties/owners. I doubt that anybody at the city or county level would argue that our stormwater management system is antiquated and frequently overwhelmed by large precipitation events. If the project does not include a net zero change, or better yet, improved stormwater capture rate, one could say that we are causing a detriment as a result of this development. I could go on about the cascade of disastrous health and environmental effects of doing a poor job wrangling our stormwater in a responsible way, but in summary, we should avoid contributing to an already bad situation when we can. Relative to the overall project budget, there are many ways that stormwater mitigation techniques can be incorporated into a design without significant cost implications. I hope that the property owner, council, and planning commission all discuss the important topic and resolve for a net zero or better stormwater capture rate for this development. Happy New Year and best regards, your neighbor, Alex Worth.
Hannah Mamnoon, Zoom.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Mamnoon and I'm a program assistant at the Coalition to Prevent Lead Poisoning. I wanted to come tonight to share a little bit about the Coalition and offer us as a resource for any questions you may have on the topic of lead. The Coalition has been around for over 20 years and has been deeply involved in the fight against lead poisoning in the Rochester area. As of 2019, New York has more children with elevated blood lead levels than any other state. This is because a major source of lead poisoning comes from lead paint dust. New York's housing inventory is the oldest in America, with 74% of housing stock constructed prior to 1978, the year in which lead paint was banned nationwide. This prevalence of lead paint in homes disproportionately affects low-income residents, people of color, and immigrants. Children under the age of 6 are especially at risk for lead poisoning, and it only takes one sugar packet's worth of lead dust sprinkled throughout an entire home to poison a child. The effects of lead poisoning include brain damage, loss of IQ, behavioral problems, seizures, and more. Based on all of this, I'm sure you can see why it is so vital to prevent lead poisoning, which is where our coalition comes in. The Coalition to Prevent Lead Poisoning is an education and advocacy organization dedicated to eliminating childhood lead poisoning. Our government relation and screening and educational and professional education committees consist of scientists, city and county staff, leaders in community organizations, and health and education professionals, all of whom meet monthly and collaborate in efforts to reduce the risks of lead poisoning in our community. Rochester is a national model for reducing lead poisoning, and many of the people to thank for this are in our coalition. I want to welcome anyone here to reach out to us with any questions or desire for more information on the subject. We are more than happy to share our resources and knowledge. Thank you all for your time tonight.
Colleen McCarthy. Bridget, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. To City Council President Miguel Melendez and City Council members, New York State Homes and Community Renewal Grant Application, CARES Act, HUD CDBG funding, expansion of lead hazard control grant program. While the main focus of this grant application is commendable and definitely addresses a public health problem, there are questions regarding citizens who may be excluded from receiving the benefits of this grant funding. As lead abatement is a major focus of this grant, would low to middle income senior citizens tend to not be beneficiaries of this rental rehab grant funding, as lead abatement often concerns the health of young children? Why must citizens reside in a targeted redevelopment area to receive assistance, regardless of the presence of lead hazards? It is hoped that the City of Rochester has made provisions to rehab rental units and expand the supply of decent, safe, and affordable rental housing for senior citizens and low to middle income citizens who live in the City of Rochester, and not just in targeted redevelopment areas or in rental units which need lead abatement. Thank you for considering these comments on behalf of senior citizens and LMI citizens who do not live in targeted redevelopment areas. Colleen McCarthy.
Roger Finkel.
My name is Roger Finkel. I live in the Swillburg neighborhood. This is for the upcoming Speak to Council meeting. Police violence is a fundamental piece of the racial and structural inequities people in Rochester face. Kickstarted by the tragic murder of George Floyd, the Race Commission was created to combat these systematic failures. It's painfully clear that police departments have no interest in using their already massive budgets to reform the oppressive culture of policing. You'd think that 2021's $561 million budget would be sufficient. We have no evidence suggesting that the Rochester Police Department would use funds from the Race Commission in an adequate or responsible manner. That is why those funds should be allocated to our youth, families, and city residents who are in an urgent need of care. I urge you to prioritize the needs of our community by voting no on Introductory 28. Thank you.
Mary Lee Miller.
Good evening, council members. I'll keep it short. Vote a resounding no on Introductory 28. Thank you. Mary Lee Miller.
Alex White.
Greetings, Council. I am Alex White, and I live in the South Wedge. I come to you today as a person who has long attended council meetings and complained about the tax breaks you have given out. They have always been explained as necessary while the developer is paying off the financing, otherwise low-income housing would not make sense. It was always stressed that eventually they would end. Well, today, you're considering an extension for the Woodward Affordable Housing Project. 25 years ago, Pathstone sought a pilot agreement for these and agreed to keep them affordable. They also entered into an agreement with the state which required these buildings remain affordable until 2026. Presently, the financing charges which the pilot was based on have been off, The cost of this financing would be greater than the additional taxes, so this project would make more money without extending them. And for at least 5 more years, they would remain affordable. They entered into an agreement that 25 years was all they needed. They will make more money if we do not grant the extension than they are now. And the argument to grant these agreements is that they will expire. Here's your chance to follow through and let this expire with no risk to affordable housing. Please do not grant this. Now, as bad as I find this project, Introductory 8 is far worse. It will grant the mayor the right to extend such tax agreements indefinitely without public notice or input. According to the charter, this is clearly a right of the council. It allows there to be debate and gives the public a chance to weigh in before our taxes are given away to a non-deserving entity. Removing this violates the very principle of open government and transparency, which you supposedly support. It is not like in the last 20 years, people seeking extensions to their pilot agreements have failed at all. So there is no reason to remove the public notice and the chance that eventually even you will agree enough is enough. So please do not pass this legislation.
Megan Garvey.
Honorable City Council members, I am writing as a city resident constituent, urging you to vote no on Introductory 28. As a trauma therapist, I enthusiastically affirm that care and healing work for first responders is a critical need in this community. However, approaching this need in the manner outlined by Introductory 28 is not only a wildly reductive and inappropriate approach to the incredibly complicated work of healing, it sends a violent message to community members that the healing needs of those working for the inherently violent system of policing continue to be more of a priority than those of community members directly impacted by police brutality. All this to say, I strongly encourage you to vote no on Introductory 28 to open up the opportunity to explore options that will be effective for all members of our community. Sincerely, Megan Garvey, LCSW.
Christina Doss.
To whom it may concern, I would like my comment submitted for the City Council meeting on January 18th. I ask City Council vote no on Intro 28, allocating $240,000 to RPD for training. The Commission on Racial and Structural Equity, RAISE, was created to review local city and county laws, policies, and ordinances to ID areas of structural inequity and recommend ways to change said laws to achieve fair application for all citizens. I do not find Intro 28 in alignment with the formal charge of the Commission to inventory and assess local laws, policies, or to provide recommendations to enhance local laws/policies. To address structural inequities issues, the RAISE Commission funds should be allocating funding to youth, families, and city residents who are in urgent need for resources such as food, shelter, mental health, and family services. Creating equity in community comes through making sure people have their most basic needs met. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Christina M. Dawes.
Okay, we're moving on to the B list. Manuel Silva.
Mayor Evans and members of Rochester City Council, please reconsider the use of the red light traffic cameras. I have seen too many drivers go through red lights at high speed, zigzagging in and out of traffic lanes. Cars that are being hijacked could possibly be captured by the use of the cameras. Vehicles that are used by criminals speeding away from a crime scene, and many more reasons. I understand why Mayor Lovely Warren discontinued the red light traffic program. My proposal is not to reinstate the original intent of the program. The information from the cameras could be effectively used to identify vehicles that have been used in a chase, stolen, crashed, and other incidents. Please give consideration to my proposal and a chance for your review. Think of other good uses that could be gained and possibly have an impact on high rates of crimes. I am sure that it would benefit our great city of Rochester. Thank you very much for your service and dedication to this city. Please feel free to contact me. Manuel G. Silva. I have a second proposal that requires attention. New York State requires the following for tinted windows. I am sure that we have seen extremely dark tinted windows, front, side, and rear. You do not have a chance to recognize the persons, and it's scary. The following is a copy and paste from the New York State DMV on regulation and inspection. There are exempts for certain vehicle classifications, such as emergency, car for hire, and others. Law enforcement of the code and inspections must be made according to law. And then he lists the code. Effective January 1st, 2017, examination of tinted or shaded windows will be required during motor vehicle inspections. A video about this change is available on YouTube, section 375.12a of the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law does not allow a windshield or front side windows that are dark. The windshield and front side windows cannot block more than 30% of the light. 70% or more of the light from the outside must pass through the window. This law also applies to the rear window unless the vehicle has outside rear view mirrors on both sides. The mirrors must give the driver a full and clear view behind the vehicle. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Manuel G. Silva.
Kevin Yost, Zoom.
Hello, my name is Kevin Yost, 1474 Middle Road, Town of Henrietta. Good evening. Whether you live in the city or not, or in the suburbs, the hinterlands, or even beyond Monroe County's boundaries in the Greater Rochester area, the city and its history, and especially the downtown area, we're all stakeholders in that, whether we can vote for city officials or pay city taxes or not. There is a current push out there from the extreme wing of the political correctness movement, cancel culture movement, is trying to get rid of things named for Colonel Nathaniel Rochester, Major Charles Carroll, and the first settler from city founder from Frederick, Maryland, Revolutionary War veteran, not sure what rank, William Fitzhugh, simply because they owned slaves. However, they gave up their slaves when New York State outlawed slavery in 1827. They were not perfect. We're not talking Edmund Pettus or any of the Confederate military officers. I can understand not getting rid of things in the South named after them and changing Stone Mountain in Georgia to something else. Or these three men were men of their time. The names on things such as Fitzhugh Street and Major Charles Carroll Plaza should stay in the city of Rochester, a local. Of Nathaniel Rochester School was renamed, where I used to take us on field trips in the 5th grade in the mid-80s for swimming in their pool, sometimes on Fridays. But that's spilt milk, water over the bridge, water into the dam. There was a push by a local publication several years ago to rename Monroe County simply with the Monroe Doctrine again. Cancel culture, extreme political correctness movement, not ridiculous. There is a statue, a small statue model of Frederick Douglass built in 1834 for the city's centennial, but never
30 seconds.
built, and never built because of the Depression. It needs to be built in either parcel 5 or the triangle between Union Street, East Main Street, and University Avenue, between Darius Spurgeon Park, and then Nathaniel Rochester statue in one of those, and then a small sculpture of Catlin Tower in the other. Well,
That's
no, we're
fine.
endorsing communism, Marxism, Leninism, Stalinism. That was-
Ed Diller by Zoom.
I'm from the First Universalist Church at the corner of South Clinton Ave and Court Street, where I lead our building and grounds group. I appreciate this opportunity to speak about the need for 24/7 public bathroom access in the Washington Square area. There's been a clear need for better bathroom access in our area for many years. During the warmer months, our maintenance and garden volunteers start our church visits by checking the grounds for human waste. It's common to find feces piles a couple times per week in our community garden and the Court Street stairwell to the Rochester Model Railroad Club, who rents space from us. These are both well lighted, but enough out of sight to provide relief spots for those who are desperate. This is a human dignity problem for those who don't have ready access to a bathroom. This is a public health problem for the defecators who don't have a way to clean themselves, and for those of us who need to handle the mess, which is then disposed of in public trash receptacles. This is a City of Rochester image problem, since many people coming to the church and to the Model Railroad Club are from outside the city. Their view of the city is tainted by human waste around the church. The city has done a great job bringing more people downtown, but needs to invest in the infrastructure to support all who use the downtown area. This could start with extending the hours of existing bathrooms and porta potties in the Washington Square area. It could go further to create new, safe, and dignified bathroom facilities like the Portland Loo to support the houseless, the skaters, the students, and the general visitors who are attracted to our downtown. Thank you for listening.
Reverend Lane Campbell, Zoom.
Good evening, City Council, Rochester City Council. I am Reverend Lane Campbell. I am a Rochester resident and the minister of the First Universalist Church at Clinton and Court Streets in our downtown. This evening, I am following my church member, Ed Deller, in reaching out to you all on Rochester City Council to ask you to support 24/7 restroom access in Rochester's downtown. The mission of the church I serve is to nurture the spirit and serve the community. Out of this mission, our church has been repeatedly asked to stand in the gap downtown and open our restrooms. From protests happening in Washington Square Park to different downtown events, and especially during the protests in the wake of the death of Daniel Prude, we have been opening our restrooms to the city of Rochester because our city is not opening restrooms to its people. When houseless people are staying downtown, because we and as a city and a country allow so many to go without housing or resources, those houseless neighbors are often using our property as a restroom, which Ed just outlined. I am concerned about the lack of attention in our city to a basic, common human need that all of us have. And I am concerned that the care our people deserve is falling to us as a church, not seen as a responsibility for our whole city. I am part of a group of people in Rochester's downtown, businesses, churches, residents, who are looking at the Pit Stop program coming out of San Francisco as a viable model for our city. One where restrooms are staffed and seen as a place to get resources to people who need them. We know especially the need for 24/7 restroom access downtown. Our restrooms downtown are closed from like midnight till 5 a.m., and that is a really key time for folks to need to use the bathroom. I'm asking you this evening to fund and support 24/7 restroom access in Rochester's downtown, and I'm also, just as a side note, adding my voice to the chorus of No on Introductory 28. Thank you all so much for your time. I so appreciate you. Take care.
Bruce Mellon.
I would like to address City Council, an equal partner to the administration, in 3 areas. 1, redistricting. 2, City Council, boards, and commission engagement with city residents and stakeholders, and addressing other legislative work City Council could and should be doing. First, redistricting. The process of the city developing a city redistricting map has not been transparent. What guidance has been given to the person drafting the map? How many districts? A city center district? Has there been a formal suggestion to the county to not have county LD boundaries across city lines? If so, there would be exactly 8 LDs. Should the city mirror those lines with city districts? How are the neighborhood groups not going to be split between districts? And the groups that do work or should work closely with each other, specifically along more troubled corridors such as Lyle Otis, Monroe Avenue, and perhaps others, need to not be split. One request, I would ask the city to keep the area under NBN 6 umbrella together. South Wedge, Swilberg, Highland Park NA, through the Upper Mount Hope neighborhood. I request the process be opened up and be done in a more appropriate order. There should be open dialogue on the goals, number of districts, center city or not, possibly mirror the county, keeping neighborhoods together, etc. Engage neighborhoods. The city does not have the current maps of neighborhoods. I have been putting one together and have already been pushing Daisy of MBD to get one together. That map needs to also show where neighborhoods overlap and ones that do or should be working together. Then, and only then, should a draft map be prepared for comment and hearings. The comments need to be seriously considered and adjusted, and adjustments will likely need to
30
be made.
seconds.
Map making is not magic, but takes special consideration that the person now drafting does not likely have. I personally have drafted a set of city redistricting maps, a map for 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 districts, based upon my neighborhood knowledge in December. Every one of the maps meets state guidelines on redistricting, to the extent possible given that the district populations have to be close to equal.
That's time.
That was submitted by Bruce Mellon.
Michael Lohr.
Hello, Council. This is Michael Lohr, a city resident in the Upper Mount Hope neighborhood. With many concerns facing the future of all our city neighborhoods, I've been working with Bruce Mellon to learn proper advocacy. Bruce has written a very important and detailed outline of concerns that we need to collectively address, primarily the following: city redistricting, engagement with city residents, transparency on policy making, and legislative work. Please read his document thoroughly and respond with a plan to act on our concerns. Thank you for your time, Michael Lohr.
Benjamin Bolton, Zoom.
You guys can hear me?
Yes,
Everyone can hear me?
yes.
Okay. Well, the reason why I'm contacting my city council today is because I have a serious problem with your Rochester Police Department. Extreme corruption is going on in your Rochester Police Department, and I'm not taking any more of their crap. I don't care if you like my language or not. Okay, I just moved back here from Los Angeles. I moved back to Rochester after moving here about 2-3 years ago. About 2 days after I moved here, your Rochester scumbag police department and your snug thugs, your 585 snug thugs across the street, tried to set me up and assault. They assaulted me. They pulled a gun and a knife on me. This was spearheaded by your scumbag cops. Your corrupt fucking Rochester asshole cops. You hear what I just said? Your scumbag Rochester fucking cops are.
Is Zanetta Green on Zoom? Oh, actually hers is a voicemail, sorry.
Yes, my name is Zanetta Green. I first would like to apologize to the council. I was supposed to be speaking to you via the Zoom. Yes, my name is Zanetta Green. I was scheduled to speak tonight at the council meeting. I do apologize due to the technical issues and the misinformation. I will not be able to attend. However, I want to discuss an ongoing issue of illegal occupancy here at 47 Peck Street. I did inform the city, and they tried to inform the landlord. Someone broke into the back door, so the back door is unsafe. And because of where the location of the heater is in one room that someone is occupying, the other part of the house does not have heat. There are 39 violations. We got a new landlord in September. They have not complied with the violations and the request of the city, and it's been 4 months. I personally will be getting keys to move to a new place tomorrow, hopefully, and so I will be getting off of the systemic hamster and the nightmare at 47 Peck Street. These tenants really here need your help. They are victims of unsafe, unsecure housing, and they have hazardous issues here. Again, I do know that there are a lot of people such as Albert from the city who has been helping tremendously. So Michael Patterson who has been helping, but the ball has been dropped and the people are still suffering. It is very cold outside. So please give these people some assistance. Again, my name is Zanetta Green, and I thank you so very much for your time. Anyone needing to speak to me, my phone number is 585-415-9063, email of zenettagreenen@gmail.com. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration, and I do thank you for your support.
Jason Swingle, Zoom.
Good evening, council members. My name is Jason Schwingle, downtown resident for the past 10 years and president of the Washington Square Community Association. I'm here tonight in support with others in our downtown neighborhood, including First Universalist Church and St. Mary's Church, to ask City Council for help, specifically the need for 24/7 public restrooms in our neighborhood. I have seen the homeless population rise and fall and rise again over the last decade. We have seen an enormous amount of growth in downtown, especially in our area in the last year with the new skate park having been built. There is an immediate need for 24/7 public restrooms to provide adequate and dignified facilities for all residents and visitors to our downtown. Downtown is certainly changing, and optimistically, I'm hopeful it's changing for the better. All people deserve humane, dignified treatment in restroom facilities, no matter what your socioeconomic status is. And I know we're a community that is creative and capable of making that happen here in downtown. Unfortunately, I've seen with my own eyes around our home and the skate park area, people who relieve themselves under the 490 overpass, down the alley of Capron Street, and even right onto the 490 East on-ramp. Of course, this isn't the first time you've heard this information or request, especially tonight. But while this issue is certainly part of a larger conversation that includes how we as a community treat our homeless, tackle affordable housing and mental and medical health treatment for our most vulnerable neighbors, and even tackle a growing downtown, we do need a viable, creative solution immediately. The last thing I want to say is that I want to make myself available to learn more about this issue and not just pass this on to City Council and say, here you go, fix it. We've already formed a group of neighborhood stakeholders to work on this issue with others, and we're hopeful that Mayor Evans and our City Council will be on board with us as well. As we attract more people to downtown and grow as a city, we want to make sure we can grow into the best city that we can be here in Rochester. Thank you for listening and for your time tonight.
Robert Thompson.
Welcome to the newly formed 2022 City Council. Congratulations on your new positions and the opportunity to deliver on positive change. That change cannot be successful without the support of the neighborhoods and citizenry of Rochester. Former administrations have been less than open with their process, decision-making, and motivations. It is our hope that will end and both council and the mayor's office will engage in an active two-way partnership that will strengthen neighborhoods. The first step is true two-way communication. Involve community groups and neighborhood leaders in every decision that will impact their neighborhoods. Important initiatives such as redistricting and developing the new zoning code require active involvement of all city staff as well as those who will be affected, the residents, of the city. Make these initiatives true collaborations as they are being developed. Many of these efforts to date may feel adversarial, but the real reason for that is that the affected have not had a true voice nor validated input. At least 3 of the council members ran on platforms representing that everyone should have a stake in city government. Your charge is to make that happen. City neighborhood leaders are willing to pitch in and help. Finally, it would be a great advantage if city council members would actually respond to the Speak to Council messages at the time they are submitted. Show us what positive change actually looks like. Best wishes for a successful year. Bob Thompson, Chair, Highland Park Neighborhood Association, Inc.
Andrew Sahelski, voicemail.
Andrew Sahelski. Reconsider Interloop project strategy. It is remarkable that we're apparently about to spend many millions of dollars on dismantling the inner loop, a valuable infrastructure that has served the Rochester community well and continues to do so, albeit compromised by the partial demolition already completed. Rochester's street layout generally follows a radial city pattern, where major avenues converge in the city center like spokes of a wheel. Such a pattern naturally results in downtown traffic congestion, a phenomenon that has become a problem in the 50s when downtown was thriving. To solve this problem, lawmakers and engineers devised a clever mechanism, an inner-city expressway by which motorists were able to circumvent downtown, avoid congestion, and quickly get to their destination without getting caught up in vehicle gridlock. With a less active city center today, the inner loop seems to be an underused mechanism. However, when downtown recovers as our center of government, finance, commerce, culture, and other activities, and that should be a priority for this community, residents will be pleading to bring back the inner loop to relieve traffic congestion. The inner loop is not as imposing as some suggest. Much of it runs at or below grade level and is not visible from a distance. With many bridges, all major avenues extend uninterrupted over or under the loop. By contrast, Interstate 490 is far more physically and visually invasive. In addition, the concrete construction of the inner loop and its embankments was well done. The only answer to the inner loop question is to preserve and restore this inner city expressway, expand and embellish the narrow greenbelt landscaping zones on its perimeter. Our descendants will only benefit from it. I live in Rochester's Northeast and have benefited from using the inner loop for over 40 years. I'm also a licensed architect who has additional technical insight into the expressway that I acquired in the 1970s while drafting the inner loop onto record maps at Monroe County Pure Waters. Let's keep the loop. Thank you.
President Melendez, that was the last speaker.
That concludes this month's Speak to Council session. I would like to thank all of the speakers for their participation. Tonight's council meeting will begin